What's up YouTube, it's Mike aka Plastic Life, finally back with another review, this time on the Medicom Toy MAFEX Eradicator from the Return of Superman. This figure was delayed a few times and I totally forgot I pre-ordered it, but it's finally here, so let's get it off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, so you may have noticed in the introduction video that I am missing one of these chicken feet that keep the shape of the cape in an upward trajectory like that. I'm missing it on this side. It came like that in the box, and I took pictures as soon as the box was opened, and I noticed it. And I mean, this one's not even holding up either. Like, you can see the glue is already like halfway done. So at this point, I think it's best to just remove this piece, and then we'll continue the review. So it doesn't look like it's stitched in anywhere. So I think this is all just glue. So if I just pull it a little bit, like so, should come apart and hopefully not damage my cape. Okay, so just remove that piece and the cape looks like it's intact. There's just a little bit of glue staining up there, so I mean, it's not going to stay as good as I'd like it to. It's only going to stay up because the cape is not wired around the back of the neck. It's only wired on the outside like so. And Eradicator has a very nice upward floating cape, and we're not going to get that since I'm missing that piece on the other side. So this is what we're going to have to do with. Kind of sucks because this piece is wired, and it really helps with the posability of the cape, but I only got one in the box, and this one's already came apart, so we'll just continue with the review. Alright, if you aren't too familiar with the character, the Eradicator is a piece of Kryptonian technology whose body was created from the genetic template of Superman after Superman was killed by Doomsday. So he possesses similar powers as Superman, such as incredible strength, speed, invulnerability, heat vision, and flight, and it even believes itself to be Superman. So here's a closer look at the figure, and we've seen a lot of these parts before. Medicom MAFEX reuses a lot of the same parts, but I think the sculpt came out really good. Looks very 90s comic accurate. I really like that about this line. This Superman is sometimes referred to as the visored Superman in the comics, so let's take a look at the visor. And I think it came out really good, made out of a translucent yellow plastic. You can see right through it, and you can see the eyes have been whited out, just like the character in the comic books. I really like these subtle little details. These sculpted in wrinkles actually make it look like there's somebody in a suit. And I really, really appreciate details like that. So one thing I noticed when I was taking a look at the other figures from the line, the Eradicator has a glossy finish, but the other figures have a matte finish. So the Cyborg Superman has matte finish, and same with the Recovery Suit Superman, same thing. So I'm not sure if this was a design choice or they forgot to spray a matte coat on top. The cape is wired just along the outside, and it seems like it's one continuous piece that just goes all the way around the outside, and it's heavy enough that it can maintain its shape, so whenever you bend it, it will hold its shape really well. The cape ports in just underneath this chest plate here, so I would just be careful when you're moving the cape around not to pull too hard, because you may pull the cape out from underneath this chest piece. Seems like it's just kind of pegged and glued in there, so just be careful when you're moving that around. I'm getting into the articulation next, but I just want to mention, right out of the box, this was probably one of the smoothest figures that I've ever dealt with, where the joints were not too stiff and they were not too loose. It just feels like a really well-built figure where everything is just, I'm not afraid to break it, nothing's like tight, nothing's loose. Just feels like a really good, well-made figure. Starting with the head, we can look up about that much and look down this much. The head can turn all the way around, look left and right. You even have side tilt to one side and the other side. The shoulder can move all the way up to there. It can flex forward all the way up and around and go all the way back. We have a bicep swivel that can rotate all the way around. We have double jointed elbows that can bend up this much. And then we have our typical MAFEX wrist joints that can move in and out, and if you rotate the pegs, it can move up and down. We have a diaphragm joint that can move side to side and rotate left and right. It does get a little bit gappy if you extend too far. We have a waist joint that's on a ball peg, and we have squishy underpants here, so that's good. That's not going to get in the way, so you can produce really good forward flexion movement. And combined with the diaphragm joint, you can produce really good back movement. And you can rotate side to side, but with these MAFEX figures, just be careful with rotation in the waist area. That joint tends to be quite tight, and you could potentially damage or destroy the peg in there, so just be careful. Warm up the figure if you need to, or add some silicone shock coil. We have a drop-down hip function that you can just pull down to increase the range, and you can kick up approximately that much, kick out to the side about that much, and back about this much. The rotation in the thigh is right up where the hip connects to the ball peg there, so you can rotate about this much in and out. We have double jointed knees that can produce this much flexion, although it does get a little bit gappy up there. We have ankles that can move up and down, and they can also pivot inwards and outwards. They can also rotate as well. Just be careful when you're rotating. And we have toe articulation. So very smooth articulation. I'm really happy with the way this thing moves. I'm not really afraid to break any of the joints or anything like that. And yeah, you can get some really good flight poses out of it. Very nice, very clean. All right, so the Eradicator comes with a few accessories. So let's just pose them straight up like so and get into the accessories. You get one alternate head, which is an angry face. There's a little bit of windswept action in the hair, and it came out very nice. You get 6 pairs of hands. First you have your fist hand sculpts. You get a set of open palm relaxed hands, a set of open gripping like hands, a set of wide open hands or reaching hands, a set of straight hands that are for flight poses or karate chops, and you get a pair of translucent straight hands that you can use for energy blast effects. Speaking of effect parts, we get 2 blasting effects. They are not really straight though, so you're probably just going to have to warm these up with hot water or with a blow dryer and then just try to straighten them out. Fairly a simple attachment for the figure. Just remove the hands, revealing the pegs underneath. You take your translucent hands, put them on the corresponding side, like so. Unfortunately, the black peg will stick through the translucent plastic there, but you're probably going to end up hiding that in the blast effect. You just take the blast effect and then it's open on this side, and you can just push the hand in like so. Make sure you have the right side. And there you go. Looks kind of silly, but I'll pose them up better in the photos. You also get MAFEX flight stands. So you get your base, you get your controllable arm, and then you get 2 types of attachment, one a crotch attachment and one around the back. I'm happy with the alternate hands and the additional head sculpt and the effect pieces, but I would have liked to see at least one more head sculpt and possibly another blast effect, because the price tags on these just keep going up. And it seems like sometimes we're just not getting as much value as we used to for these figures. Getting into some size comparisons, here's Eradicator next to MAFEX Superman in the recovery suit. Here's Eradicator next to Cyborg Superman. When I'm looking at these two stand next to each other, Cyborg Superman has the chicken feet that are supposed to make the cape stand up better, but it actually kind of looks worse in my opinion with the chicken feet. This kind of looks better with the way that it's flowing, so maybe I might just rip the chicken feet out of this one as well. Unfortunately, I don't own steel from the Return of Superman line, and we don't yet have Superboy or Doomsday, so those are something to look forward to. Here we have Eradicator standing next to the Batman Hush Superman, and I really wish we can get a figure with this head sculpt in a blue suit. Here's Eradicator next to Night Crusader Batman from MAFEX. If you want to mix and match your lines, here are some Marvel Legends tracksuit goons. So my final thoughts on this figure. Despite the QC issues that I had with the padding underneath the shoulder, I think it's a good release and it's a good addition to the Return of Superman line. You're most likely only going to want to buy this figure if you're a huge Superman fan or you're just trying to complete that Return of Superman line. It could use some additional head sculpts and maybe more effects, but overall I think this is a solid release from MAFEX. If you found this review helpful, hit that thumbs up and the subscribe button, leave a comment below on whether or not you're picking up this Eradicator. Head on over to plastic.life on Instagram for more action figure pics, and always remember, at the end of the day, this is your collection. Buy whatever makes you happy. I hope you catch my next reviews. Take care.